You can't do this.
We condemn you, Natla of Atlantis, for your crimes, for the flagrant misuse of your powers, and for robbing us of ours.
You can't,
Breaking the three bond of consent that our people are ruled and secured under, and invading Teopan and myself with our army, our warriors, empty from our pyramid, so that you can use the pyramid, its powers of creation, for your own mindless destruction.
Mindless? Look at you! Neither of you have one squirt of inventive juice in your heads. Wasters.
Let's just do it.
Tehokan!
You use the sacramental place as a source of individual pleasure, as some freak factory.
They're survivalists, a new generation.
A slaughter heap now. And you, we're gonna lock you in limbo. Make your veins, heart, feet, and that diseased brain stick solid with frozen blood. Greet your eternal unrest, Natla!
You won't rest either, or your damned continent Atlantis. Back again.
And you? For a grand reopening, I assume.
Evolution's in a rut, natural selection at an all-time low. Shipping out fresh meat will incite territorial rages again. Will strengthen and advance us. Even create new breeds.
Kind of evolution on steroids, then.
A kick in the pants. Those runts Qualapec and Tehokan had no idea. The cataclysm of Atlantis struck a race of languoring wimps. Plummeted them to the very basics of survival again. It shouldn't happen like that.
Or like this.
Hatching commences in 15 seconds.
Too late for abortions now.
Not without the heart of the operation.
No!
10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Guys, welcome back to our playthrough of Tomb Raider 1. This is the 15th and final level, the Great Pyramid. As you can see, we just did battle with an enormous Atlantean creation. We need to talk about everything that we just saw and everything that we just learned, because the great twist of the game was revealed in a couple of cutscenes. So, when Lara touched the completed Scion, that is, with its three pieces united as one, she had a vision of the distant past just before the fall of Atlantis. In the vision, it's revealed that Natla was, or is, the third ruler of Atlantis. It's a great twist, right? Successful businesswoman Natla was actually the third heretic ruler. In the vision, Lara sees Qualapec and Tehokan condemning Natla, charging her with crimes against them, for the flagrant misuse of her powers and using their shared powers as rulers, their pieces of the Scion, to create a new breed of weapon and turning these creatures, born in the Great Pyramid, against its own rulers and against its people. Such an act, Qualopec scolded, constitutes breaking the three bond of consent that the Atlantean people were ruled and secured under. So Natla unflinchingly argues that her goal wasn't simply mindless destruction, but creating a new breed of evolved survivalist organisms. She makes a final appeal to Tihocan, who seemed the more temperate of the three, but he shows her little mercy as he describes in great detail her punishment. Her sentence is to be imprisoned, frozen in an ancient seal for all eternity. Perpetual unrest, as Tihocan put it. So how then did Natla escape the cryogenic prison? Well, remember in the first level, the cutscene of a nuclear weapons test in Los Alamos in 1945? Well, that explosion unearthed Natla's techno-prison and inadvertently broke open the seal, allowing her to awaken thousands of years later in the 20th century. But obviously Natla, after awakening, quickly established herself in the modern world, perhaps maybe with her vast knowledge from the highly advanced Atlantis, and she became a powerful businesswoman and used her resources to track down the severed pieces of the Scion, with the intention, of course, to unite its three disparate pieces and picking up right where she left off. So Lara emerged from that vision and confronts Natla with all that she had just seen. Natla doubles down on her intentions to flood the world with her ravenous creations, and thereby inciting territorial rages with humankind, forcing humanity to adapt, to strengthen and advance through a kind of forced evolution. So in essence, ushering in a new age of evolution with these advanced biological weapons as the catalyst. So Natla, lamenting this regression in humanity as she sees it, intends to continue her great work, starting with the hatching of a new bioweapon. Lara tries to interrupt this blasphemous birth by destroying the Scion, but Natla intervenes and plummets down the Atlantean shaft, leaving Lara to do battle. It seems that she plummeted to her death before we started, so all that remains for us is to get out of this pyramid. We're gonna grab Secret 1 before we continue on with the level, but we need a bridge to be raised. So when we hop across these recessed platforms, when we get to this one over here, it seems to trigger the raising of the bridge. So let's hop back and grab secret number 1. This level is going to test everything we've got. You're going to see traps and puzzles from all across the levels of everything we've done so far. Right, we might just have to pull this again to raise the other bridge. It's all time based, so I'm just going to hop on over before it closes behind us. Anyway, with secret number 1 done, let's get on with the level. So Natla saw Tihocan and Qualopec and the people of Atlantis as languoring wimps, as she says. Perhaps put another way, maybe complacent in their enlightenment. And then when the cataclysm struck Atlantis, they plummeted to the very basics of survival again. And as we saw, Qualopec and Tihocan journeyed to other cultures and lived amongst the ancient peoples of the time, where they were revered. But in Natla's eyes, this was a far cry from the advanced Atlantis and the evolution that should or would have occurred, had she been able to fulfill her plan. Alright, so we can see up ahead what's about to happen to us. This level is laden with traps. Best to be careful around every single corner. Got another boulder up there. Phew. Alright, so we find ourselves back in the kind of control room we were earlier when Natla placed the Scion and when the two of them had their little scuffle. We saw that Natla plunged to the bottom of that really, really large shaft that we had to climb at the Atlantis level. I don't think Lara wants to allow this to ever happen ever again. So before we move on, we're going to destroy the Scion and make sure that nobody like Natla can never attempt to unleash the hordes of Atlantis against humankind. And now, time to make our escape. Just going to let us go without a fight. So you might have noticed in the Atlantis level that there was a little bit of a door in the fleshy walls here. Well, it's open in this level, but I think it's just to explain the sort of organic canals from which the Atlantean horde emerged from. And as we learned from the cutscene, this pyramid was very, very sacred to the Atlanteans. It was really where they could create life, which is why it appears like a living organism, right? Almost like a living, breathing creature, a womb. And obviously, Lara's destruction of the Scion has caused a multitude of tremors and earthquakes, which has filled the lava pool beneath here with molten rock. It might be enough for us to make our getaway. It seems the perils of Atlantis are great. We're gonna have to make our way across this room. I think we're gonna take some inevitable damage here. It's quite tricky to maneuver around these arrows. Spike traps and a swinging axe we've seen many times along our 15 level journey. I wonder what that shadow belongs to, eh? Alright, so let's carefully make our way across here. Thought it best to avoid that boulder entirely. We'll walk to be careful around these spikes. Alright, so we've got a crumbling platform and some spikes beneath. We're gonna have to really be careful here. Phew, that was close. Alright. So those few items you can see in the distance there are actually secret number 2. To get there, we're going to have to shimmy a long way down. I think about here is good. So we can see there's a crumbling floor and a swinging axe we have to contend with. Let's see if we can get this done. Only a slight slash there. I'm gonna keep moving. There's a metapack there, but I think this one's just a trap. This boulder is far too close. Still more boulders and another swinging axe. Let's get this done. Alright. Now we can see more little bits of flooding lava as we saw in Atlantis. We better be on our guard. Alright, so if you can see there's a boulder that will reach us on this side and a boulder waiting for us on the other edge of a gap. It's not as bad as it looks. Let's go slow. Alright, so we let that boulder roll over the top of us. And this one's a little tricky, but we just have to hang and let the boulder roll over our heads. Excellent. Alright, this room should look familiar. Remember Palace Midas with the Trial of Fire? I've already taken the liberty of exploring under that water and there's nothing for us down there. So all that remains is to overcome the trial. And guys, this is regrettably the last secret of the whole game. I'm kind of sad. It's a tricky one. We have to kind of run and jump to that crumbling pad and then head to the medipack that you can see in the distance there. It's a little inexact of where we have to jump from. I think just on this slanted block is fine. So let's give it a go. That was a close one. And just interestingly, I think this secret is classically bugged. So even though it chimes and even though you get it, it doesn't actually count at the end of the level. I'm not sure if they patched that out for the Steam version, which I'm currently playing. But yeah. So we can see that the only safe spot is that tiny patch of water right in the middle. After a series of trials and errors, I think I worked out how to do this without fail. So tap backwards 4 times and do a running dive from the 4th spot. Perfect. Flooded tunnels of more pulsating flesh. We really must get out of this pyramid before the destruction of the Scion brings the whole thing down with us. Another Atlantean? No. That is Natla. She didn't die. She has sprouted wings just like her bioweapon brethren. Let's get cover and heal up. Let's put her out of her misery. I think we got her. Alright. Let's figure out how we can get out of this huge room.
You can't bump off me and my brood so easy, Lara.
She's back. Those Atlanteans must be made of sterner stuff. But this time, I think this one's gonna stick. At least for now. We should take this opportunity to get out. It looks like there's an opening high above. And I think that that is our way out. Let's get moving. So as we make our way up to the summit of the pyramid, I hope that you really have enjoyed the journey of Tomb Raider 1 and kind of seen a little bit why it's such a definitive classic. There's something about, you know, the isolation, the atmosphere, the supreme level design, the minimalism and the simplicity of the levels contribute to it being a classic. Cutting-edge 3D graphics for its time, beautifully designed ancient tombs with elegant symmetry and detailed textures, wonderfully cinematic CGI cutscenes. The gameplay is so pure and minimal and exact, totally a far cry from the random, buggy platforming we see in later platformers and even in later Tomb Raider reboots. Jumping and climbing is always exact, making for a very tight, very enjoyable traversal experience. The enemy or combat to exploration ratio is, in my opinion, pretty perfect. Just enough enemies to satisfy the action game attribution, but not enough to be frustrating or take away from the feeling of exploration, which is the pervading element. The enemies themselves aren't too much bullet sponges. They don't take too frustratingly long to kill. The music by the wonderful Nathan McCree is ambient, elegant and atmospheric. inspired by classical compositions. All the way from the iconic Tomb Raider main theme to the pulsing T-Rex theme, they are all memorable and beautiful. The writing by Vicky Arnold, whom I consider Lara Croft's mother and co-creator, integral to making Lara the phenomenon she would become, is snappy, flavorful, funny, and clever. It's iconic, memorable, and quotable even to this day. Lara's character and backstory, again, the brainchild of Vicky Arnold and Lara's creator Toby Gard, is charming, bold, unapologetic. So ahead of its time is this Lara, self-actualized and thoroughly without melodrama. Her desires and actions aren't driven by another person or relationship, be it a friend or a parent, as is the case in later Tomb Raider reboots, where her drive is so reliant on external factors or childhood traumas. Tomb Raider 1 is once again ahead of its successors in some ways, in depicting a self-actualized female protagonist with internal agency. Last but not least, of course, is the story, which has a kind of timeless quality to it, having invoked Greek mythology with a subversive modern spin in terms of what we think of Atlantis. It has a great, satisfying twist. Introducing Larson and Pierre and Natla as antagonists kept it exciting and made their battles feel really special. And as with any great gaming masterpiece, it's a combination of all these elements working together that make it a truly genre-defining classic. Thankfully, although this is the end of Tomb Raider 1 and Lara's first foray, there will be many other Tomb Raiders that we can get through in the original canon, and I hope that you will stick with me through them. But for now, let's bid Tomb Raider 1, the masterpiece Tomb Raider 1, one final adieu. It's been a pleasure to have you guys with me. I hope that I have made a fan out of you, and I hope that this might inspire you someday to play the game yourself, fall in love with it, do things I didn't do, take it slow, explore every nook and cranny. It's a really, really wonderful experience, and if you love it as much as I do, you will find yourself coming back time and time again, because there's just something really therapeutic and beautiful about this experience. I will be playing through the game again in its remastered version that is dropping on Lara's birthday, 14th of February 2024, and then hopefully continuing with Tomb Raider 2 and 3 to follow. So please drop by and join me, and we'll do it all again, but this time in a remastered format. Thank you all for putting up with my long-winded commentary. This is Nick from Essence of Game, signing off. Till next time.